skill.
So good evening. Let's begin with our prayer first. Master of all worlds, highest power, merciful parent of compassion, in your presence, eternal one, source of strength for us, as you have been for our ancestors, we very humbly acknowledge you. What are we? What is our life that you have done such great goodness to us? Therefore, we place our appeals before you,
so that you may forgive and absolve us
of all our faults and failings. Let
our faults never become barriers
between us and you.
And may it be your desire
to prepare
our hearts to feel awe and love for
you.
May you listen to these words of ours. May you open
our encumbered
hearts
heart
to the mysteries of your Torah. May this our study be a pleasure for your throne of glory,
like sweet
incense.
May you shower down upon us
the light of our source
in all the
ways
that
we
we
find
ourselves.
May the sparks of your holy servants,
for whom you have revealed these words to the world, shine
and
sparkle.
May they merit
their
ancestors'
merit,
merit of their Torah, their innocence
and their holiness
stand for us,
so
as to prevent us from stumbling
when we study
these words.
In
their
merit,
our eyes be illuminated by what we study, as in the saying of the sweet singer of Israel.
Open my eyes,
that I may gaze the wonders
of your Torah.
May the words of my mouth
and the thoughts of my heart be
acceptable to you,
my rock and my
redeemer.
For it is the
eternal who grants wisdom. It is from
mouth
his mouth that knowledge and understanding issue
forth.
Na 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 Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Na 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 na. Oh no no no. No 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. No 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 no. Oh no no oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. All right, here we are on page 410. And we're going to begin another section of the Zohar's discussion of our parasha. And the episode that from the Torah reading that it focuses on now is this very strange story about the way that Jacob is able to finally get some kind of substantial flock that will be the payment for all of his years of working for Lavan. Lavan has tried to cheat him and minimize as much as possible whatever benefit Jacob can have from being his shepherd for so many years. And what he does is he takes the Nebushi kind of sheep that he has, and he places sticks in front of them when they go to drink the water from the troughs, and he peels stripes on the sticks, and as a result, he magically gets the spotted and striped sheep that he's supposed to get. So this is where we begin, 410, and we need somebody who's going to read for us. Oh, look at that. Beryl is ready to read tonight.
Happy are Israel.
No,
No.
we did that already. That's the end of the previous section.
So we're at Rabbi Elazar.
Well, we're at he placed.
He placed the rods that he had peeled in the channels.
Okay, read just the note for the whole verse.
735.
Right.
He placed the rods that he had peeled in the channels. The verse continues, in the watering troughs where the flock came to drink, facing the flock. Now they were in heat when they came to drink.
Okay, and we've had it a little bit before, and we'll see now what the Zohar does with this. Now, Rabbi Elazar opened.
Rabbi Elazar opened. If you are wise for yourself. If you scoff, you alone will suffer.
Okay, so Rabbi Elazar begins as usual with a midrash by taking a verse from someplace far away. And this is the verse from Mishlei. Okay, what does he say?
Woe to the wicked of the world who neither know nor consider words of Torah. And if they do consider words of Torah, appear to them entirely empty and worthless, since they lack intelligence. All because they are empty-headed. For all the words of Torah are entirely precious. Of every single word is written, she is more precious than rubies. Nothing desired can compare with her, with Torah.
Okay, so Rabbi Elazar is reacting to the way people are reading Torah, and it's occasioned by this particular section of the Torah. and he goes on the offensive. He goes on the offensive to attack people who are attacking the Torah and who say that the Torah is not believable, it's a little far-fetched, it's dumb, it's ridiculous, it's, whatever kinds of insults they might throw out. So he calls these people wicked, right? And it's they who think they're so smart, and they read this story in the Torah and they go, what a ridiculous story. He carves, he does a little wood carving, and that's going to change the way that the animals are going to genetically be reproducing. Give me a break. This is silly. So we see even all the way back then, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the sophisticates among us couldn't be fooled by this kind of little Baba Maisa that's in the Torah. And they use this as an example that the Torah really can't be taken seriously. So he is now going, in a counteroffensive. And he says, no, all words of Torah are entirely precious. You have no idea how important what's hiding in every single word of Torah, including these words, which seem to be just a silly kind of story. No, she's more precious than rubies. That a little bit reminds us of the end of Proverbs, where the woman of valor is described this way. And here, this is much earlier, this is at the beginning of Proverbs, where it's wisdom, it's Torah, that is described as more precious than rubies. And there's nothing in this world that you could possibly desire that can compare with the Torah. So the Torah is beautiful, wise, precious. We should treasure it. We should pay attention to it. And a story like this must have, some very important truths for us to learn. Okay, go ahead.
Where am I?
All those closed-minded.
All those close-minded, close-hearted fools, upon seeing words of Torah, as if it weren't bad enough that they are unaware, they actually claim that those words are defective, worthless. Woe to them when the Blessed Holy One avenges the humiliation of Torah, and they are inflicted with punishment for rebelling against their Lord.
Okay, so he, drives it home here, and he says that people who don't appreciate the Torah, even in these kinds of challenging texts, are guilty of two qualities, right? They're closed-minded, which is, again, a counter attack against people who see themselves as open-minded. They are the ones who see themselves as, we know more about what's going on in the world. We're not obscurantists. We're not fundamentalists. So give me a break. This Torah story is for the birds. So he says, no, you think you're open-minded. You're really closed-minded because you're not willing to entertain the possibility that maybe the Torah knows what it's saying and you just don't know how to read it. So that's one part of his attack. And then the other part is, he says, you're closed-hearted. What does that mean? He's applying these two qualities to people who are reading the Torah and then trying to make sense of the Torah. So the closed-minded, okay, we're reading the Torah. We think we know what's up and what's down, and the Torah doesn't fit into our ideas. So we reject what the Torah says. It's not rational. It's not scientifically accurate. It's not historically accurate. Whatever. Okay, so this is all about our intelligence and our applying our reason and our knowledge to the Torah. What does it mean that Rabbi Elazar is also accusing people who have that approach of being close-hearted? Yeah, Jen.
I'm not sure where he's going with it, but where I would like him to be going with it is that even if in your mind you don't lose your brains when you're reading, and you do maintain a certain amount of healthy skepticism, that doesn't mean that you can't enter the myth and let it affect how you live and how you treat your neighbor and all the lessons in the Torah. You can't get into the story. Like, your heart is still open to it, even if you can maintain your skepticism.
Yeah. All right, Larry.
Well, I just wonder if maybe the attack here is on the Maimonidean people. In other words, that it's followers of the Rambam who are viewing the Torah in a kind of rationalistic or philosophical manner, and by saying that they're closed-minded and by saying that they're heartless. In effect, what the Zohar is suggesting is that they're not getting the secret of the Torah. In other words, they're like missing the point, which I think may is a good point. In other words, it's like if you read the Torah just on its first of all, if you read it on its Peshat level, you're missing something. And then also, if you read it in a philosophical way, you sort of read Aristotle into it, or you read it, try to rationalize. Like, I just remember when I was growing up, I don't know, it was the Hertz Chumash or some Chumash when I went to shul, was sort of like explaining the parting of the Red Sea as being some kind of natural phenomenon where the water just I don't know, some wind came and it dried up, and
it actually says that in the Torah.
No, but I mean, it seemed to me like even as a child that it was like missing the whole magic of the story. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, you want to just explain this as just that this actually happened as a natural event, then why are we reading the Torah at all? I don't.
Yeah. No, well said. I'll tell a famous joke, because I like to, that many of you probably have heard more than once, and probably even more than once from me. The kid comes home from Hebrew school, and the parent says, "So how was it today?" "Yeah, all right." "So what did you learn today?" So the kid says, "We learned about how God saved the Israelites at the Red Sea." "So yes, what happened?" "Well, the Israeli army came in with the jet fighters, and then the helicopters came in and airlifted the people, and then there was this whole thing where we had the these missiles that wiped out the Egyptian army." And the parents go, "Are you kidding? That's ridiculous. That you can't have learned." He goes, "If I told you what they told me happened, you wouldn't believe it." So that's it. Yeah. So yes, the historical and intellectual social context here is that these are followers of Rambam, who the Zohar has a really hard time with, because they rationalize everything away, and everything becomes just a philosophical metaphor, and they're accused of many sins by Moshe de Leon in his writings, and also by the Zohar. So the excess rationalism is definitely a problem, and that's the closed-minded part. And the issue that you're talking about missing the whole magic or the ta'am, the taste, the flavor of the Zohar, is also at issue here, because language is not flat, and communication is not flat, and the same words spoken in a dry context will mean one thing, and the same words spoken in a context where they're spoken within a relationship, they're communicated between two parties who have a loving relationship. It could mean something completely different. It's something completely different. If you're not attuned to that emotional quality that is part of the communication, you will completely miss the communication. So what the Zohar is saying, what Rabbi Lazar is saying is, you can't read the Torah with just your head. You have to read the Torah with your heart, which means somebody's looking over there. Somebody's, I think it was Elijah the prophet. So, and more than that, I would say that what Rabbi Lazar is saying is, you can't understand the Torah, what the Torah is saying to you, unless you read the Torah out of love. If you love the Torah, if your heart is invested in the Torah will be saying things to you that are completely inaudible to somebody who doesn't have that feeling. The heart has to be open, and of course that goes back to the Torah itself. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, right? with all of your heart. So if the heart is missing, if it's just an analytic exercise, then you'll miss the point. So it's not only bad enough that they just don't even get it, they're unaware, they don't see what's right in front of them, but they actually criticize, right? They say that the Torah is actually defective, has blemishes, has problems. So the Holy Blessed One will look after avenging the Torah's humiliation. This is El Bonah Shel Torah, right? The shaming of the Torah, which is also, it's in the note there, 739. Earl, you're back?
Yes, I'm here. Okay.
739, please.
I'm looking for it. Humiliation of Torah, neglecting and denigrating her. Rabbi
Yehoshua,
son of Levi, said, every single day an echo resounds from Mount Horeb, proclaiming, woe to creatures for the humiliation of Torah, for whoever does not engage in Torah is called rebuked.
So what Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi is saying is that ignoring the Torah is a humiliation of the Torah. And Mount Sinai, there's a voice from Mount Sinai where the Torah was given every day. This heavenly gift was given to you, and you ignore it. You don't even pay any attention to it. What the Zohar is adding is that we know that it's worse than that. We know that people feel that they can be in the position to criticize the Torah. This is the humiliation. All right, they'll get what they deserve. I want to just, yeah. All right. We'll go a certain way, and then I want to share something else with you. Okay. What is written?
What is written in Torah? It is not an empty word, mikem.
Mikem, yes.
Mikem, for you, and if it is empty, it is mikem, from you, because of you. For Torah is completely filled with all precious stones and priceless pearls, with all the world's treasures, as is said, Nothing desired can compare with her. So how can they say she is empty?
Okay, so this is recalling a midrashic statement, which rereads that verse at the end of the Torah. Kilo davar reiku mikem. Right? The Torah is not something that is empty for you, right? And it's not far away, says Moses. It's not across the ocean. It's not up in the sky. Beficha uvilvavcha la'asota. It is in your mouth and in your heart to do this. So the Torah is accessible. It's close to you. It's within you. It's not an empty thing. So it says it's not empty for you, mikem. And then the Midrash says, and if you say it's empty, it's mikem, from you, right? Then it's because of you that it is empty. It's your fault that you don't find the meaning of the Torah. You haven't tried hard enough, or you haven't oriented yourself in the proper perspective. The Torah has it all. So the Torah is completely filled with all precious stones and priceless pearls, all the world's treasures. So it's not, he's not simply saying that the Torah is true. He's not simply saying that the Torah has good stuff to teach you. Listen to, when it says, don't murder, excellent idea. Serve God, great idea. What is he saying beyond that? When that statement, Torah is completely filled with all precious stones and priceless pearls, with all the world's treasures. What is that statement trying to convey? Yeah, Jen.
It sounds like you actually don't have to look further than this. You have all the wealth and you could need. It sounds like a discouragement to look in other places for these precious jewels and etc. Like forget the grass is always greener thing. Probably also subtle message, don't convert to Christianity or Islam. That's what it's basically saying. Everything you need and more than you ever imagined you could have is right here.
So everything that's valuable and precious is in here, right? All the world's treasures. So again, if it's about a polemic, which religion is better? If it's simply saying that you should take every mitzvah seriously, that's not quite what it's saying, right? What it's saying is all the world's treasures are there.
So it can compete with any other worldview. That's what it sounds like.
So you're interested in competition. I'm not interested in the competition. I'm interested in asking, what do you mean by saying every treasure of the world is in the Torah? I read the Torah. Is physics in the Torah? No. Not, physics of today. I love physics. What it's saying, let's put it this way. What it's saying is anything that anybody can find as precious is in there. That's a different claim than saying that what's in there is precious. Understand? It's not simply saying that the Torah is really the best. It's saying the Torah has within it whatever you can possibly value. It's in there somewhere. You might have to find it. You may have to search for it. Maybe the treasure that is your treasure is not going to be accessible to anybody else. What you find precious is in the Torah. It may not be what I find precious, but it's in there. That's the claim here. We don't have to go into comparisons with any other system. What Rabbi Elazar is saying is, Hafoch ba v'hafoch ba dekula ba. In Pirkei Avot, it says, turn it over and turn it over. It's all in there. So it contains within it multitudes that are unimaginable to any particular person, because you need all the other people to imagine those multitudes as well. Craig, what did you want to say?
Yeah, you just said it, because what I was going to say is that the subtext is that you may have to work to find it. Just, just like with any precious jewels, you have to dig.
Right. But what it does is it leaves open an infinity of possibilities of meaning coming out of the Torah. It's not defining that only what the Torah says in ABC, this specific text, you should be satisfied with that. If you delve into the Torah, you will find, so many other precious things. Everything that's precious, it's in there somewhere. Right? You just have to find it. And as I say, it may be that only you can find it. Yeah, great.
Yeah, just one more thing. It sounds like it goes back to, we talked about people who are closed-hearted. You have to open your hearts. May not be enough to open your mind. You have to open your heart to it before you find it. Yeah.
I'm going to try to share the screen, and I hope that I succeeded in keeping something that I want to have us read. I think this is it. Okay, good. So this is, as you see right at the top of the text, the prophetic voice of Rabbi Arnold Jacob Wolf. Rabbi Arnold Jacob Wolf was a rabbi who was, he died in 2008, I think, at a ripe old age. His head, his active years were the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And he was a big, as it says here, civil rights activist. He was a Reform rabbi who, really tried to push a social agenda. He was in Chicago, and he was a man of truth, a man of honor, and a really exemplary man, Jew, and rabbi. So here is a statement that he wrote that I thought of when I was reading this part of the Zohar. So Beryl, can you see it?
I'll try. I try to walk the road of Judaism. Embedded in that road are many jewels. One is marked Sabbath, and one civil rights, and one kashrut, and one honor your parents, and one study of Torah, and one you shall be holy. There are at least 613 of them, and they are of different shapes and sizes and weights. Some are light and easy for me to pick up, and I pick them up. Some are too deeply embedded for me to pick up, and
No, it's embedded
some
for me,
are
so far at least.
deeply embedded for me, so far at least, though I get a little stronger by trying to extricate the jewels as I walk the street. Some perhaps I shall never be able
to pick up.
I believe that God expects me to keep on walking. Judaism street.
Keep on walking Judaism street.
Oh, thank you. And to carry away whatever I can of its commandments. I do not believe that he expects me to lift what I cannot, nor may I condemn my fellow Jew who may not be able to pick up even as much as I can.
So that's a statement, a little excerpt from the statement, but that image of the precious jewels, each mitzvah is this precious jewel, and he walks along and he discovers this mitzvah or that. Some he can pick up, some he can't, but he looks at all of them, even the ones he can't pick up, and he says, these are precious gems. So I just thought of it in connection to this piece of Zohar. Anybody have a comment? Jen.
I really like that. And I don't know if I can articulate this correctly, but it seems then if there's something in like for a precious jewel for every person, then it's, I mean, it's a partnership then with the Torah. There's got to be somebody like him also, it sounds like. He's bringing out some very, very good things, which some of us don't when we read the Torah. And I guess I have an ingrained belief that religion makes good people better and bad people worse. So I do tend to think that like, wow, he's bringing something to the Torah, and the Torah is also benefiting from him at the same time that he's benefiting from Torah.
Good. What happens when he picks up one of the jewels? What's the next moment or the next hour or the next day? What happens when he's walking on that street and he picks up one of the jewels?
Carries it.
He put what?
He carries it with him.
He carries it with him. Does he put it in his pocket and then that jewel disappears from existence for anybody else?
No,
Gerald.
it becomes part of him.
He grows.
He grows, and that jewel, if it becomes part of him, has a life now that it didn't have when it was just sitting on the ground, when it was sitting on the street corner there. Right? That's the partnership that Jen is talking about. Right? It can shine, it can be admired, it can be shared with somebody else. Look at this jewel that I picked up. Right? We love to share things that are precious to us with other people and have other people then appreciate it also and say, yeah, that's gorgeous. Oh, it's sparkling or whatever. So the sharing of it becomes possible, and the shining goes ever greater if you pick it up. Okay. Let's go back to the Zohar, 4:11.
King Solomon declared, if you are wise for yourself. Because when a person grows wise in Torah, this is his own benefit. Since to Torah herself, he cannot add even a single letter. If you scoff, you alone will suffer. Didn't I read this? For he will not diminish the glory of Torah in the least. His scoffing is totally his, lingering within him to eliminate him from this world and from the world that is coming.
Okay, so here we have a little bit of a shift. Because if we take the idea that we were celebrating until now about the sharing and the interconnectedness between the Torah and the person studying Torah, living Torah, sharing Torah, if we take that interconnectedness to to an extreme, then the Torah has no being without that sharing. And that's part of the idea of the humiliation of the Torah. But now what Rabbi Elazar is saying is that no matter what, the Torah is eternal, and you can't ever think that you're going to affect the Torah in some kind of, hold on a second, I don't know what this is, I'm sorry.
I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, what can I say? Okay, sorry. So what he's saying is that the Torah has its own stature, its own integrity, and you, in your picking it up, in your sharing it, there's something hardcore in that gem, in that diamond, that can never be messed with. It can never be changed. It can never be eliminated by whatever it is that you may try to do. So there's a little bit of a one-way street here. It's to your benefit to study Torah. If you don't study Torah, believe me, the Torah will survive. And if you try to destroy the Torah, I guarantee that the Torah will survive despite you. But you have something to gain. Now, of course, once you enter into that partnership, then the Torah also has something to gain. But this is, like I say, a little bit of a shift because of the conflict that we were talking about before. There's a little bit of a kind of an aggressive defense of the Torah that, on the one hand, if it's safe to say so with a group, Torah needs you. But if it's not safe to say that, then we will say, don't worry, the Torah doesn't need you. It depends. It depends on the connection. Come and see.
Come and see, when supernal letters all combine on this rung, last of all sacred supernal rungs, filled by them, blessed by the higher world, then this rung stands poised to water all those flocks, each one fittingly, each one watered with judgment and compassion.
So now we have the word flocks coming in here and watering the flocks. So now we have a little bit now turning back into our Torah portion, into the story that we have in the Torah itself. But now the context has been shifted. It's not about a bunch of sheep going to a water trough and slaking their thirst. It's about all of the world, every creature, every being getting its sustenance, getting its water, right? Needing the water of life to be made available to it. And that water is given out by the ultimate giver and dispenser of the life-giving waters. Who is that? That's God, and specifically through Shekhinah, right? Through the attribute of Shekhinah. Shekhinah is the one who collects all of the higher energies that flow down into her, and then she gives out the sustenance to everything that, literally everything that needs it, right? The supernal letters all combine on this rung. So you have 742. Read that note for a second, please.
Let us just find it. When supernal letters all combine on this rung, when the letters of the alphabet emanating from Binah, the higher world, combine on the rung of Shekhinah, who is known as
Et.
spanning Aleph to Tav.
Right, all the letters of the alphabet. Aleph is the first letter of the alphabet. Tav is the last letter of the alphabet. Together they spell the word Et, which is a word of, kind of open-ended meaning. Usually it means nothing. It just points toward the next word. We've talked about it many, many times. But Et, therefore, is the addition of reality through Shekhinah. If not for Shekhinah, nothing would be able to live at all. So all of the letters come pouring down into Shekhinah, and then Shekhinah dispenses the waters to us, who are the flocks of sheep, each one fittingly, each according to what they need, each one watered with judgment and compassion. So judgment is Gvura, Din, that's the left-hand side. Compassion, love, generosity, giving, Chesed is the right-hand side. And Shekhinah brings them both into a mix together. And then as Shekhinah dispenses the life-giving waters, she makes decisions about how much should it be left-handed water, how much should it be right-handed water, how much should the waters be mixed together. This is her role. Okay, come and see.
Come and see what is written. He placed the rods that he had peeled in the channels. Jacob sought to inaugurate evening prayer, to illumine the moon, watering and blessing her from all directions. It is written, he placed the rods, severe judgments issuing from supernal Gevurah. When Jacob desired to mend this rung, he removed those severe judgments from her, setting them up in the channels. Those 4 channels found beneath this well, which is filled by those streams and bubbling springs. For as water issues from this holy well, these 4 receive all. So they are all called channels. There all come to drink, and those severe judgments all stand there to be absorbed by each one fittingly.
Okay, so what we have now is that Rabbi Lazar is reading the story of Jacob in the Torah in this much more spiritualized theosophical way, and again about partnership. Except here the partnership is not about making sense of one particular verse or one word or one mitzvah, but it's about making sense of God, right? Not making sense of I understand God, but making God's interaction with the world be more accommodating and more life-giving than it otherwise might be. So the collaboration here has been pushed up to a much, much, much more ultimate, level. When he places these maklot, these rods, into the rahatim, into the troughs, into the channels, and he strips them of some of the bark, what is he doing? He's taking instruments of judgment, violence, punishment, pain, right? The sticks, right? He's taking sticks, which are weapons, and he is weakening them. He's mitigating them. He is adorning them with bands of the inside of the stick, the white of the stick, and he's taking away the bark. The white is the color of love. The white is the color of giving. The white is the color of chesed. Right? The darker bark color is darkness, is the side of fear and judgment. So he's taking some of that away to try to soften the quality of judgment as it comes into the world and as it is channeled out into the world. So it's not about him and his sheep. It's not about this particular moment. It's about him in his role as the ultimate synthesizer of the divine forces. Abraham on one side, Isaac on the other side. Jacob is in the middle. Jacob is the synthesis. Jacob sought to inaugurate evening prayer. So this comes from the Talmud. We have 3 daily prayer services, right? Shachrit, Mincha, Ma'ariv. Shachrit, the Talmud says, was founded by Avraham. Mincha by Yitzchak, and Ma'ariv, Arvit, by Jacob. So Jacob is the one who does the night prayer. Why is he doing the night prayer? because he's the one who can handle the fright. I talked about it actually a little bit a couple of nights ago. We had a Shiva Minyan. We had Mariv. Mariv is a dicey time. Mariv is when darkness descends. So Jacob is the one who can mitigate the darkness. He sweetens the darkness. He makes the darkness bearable, right? And the darkness, of course, is one of the main features of Shekhinah. So by doing that, he is taking Shekhinah and transforming her from a scary being into a comforting being. The dark can be a time of fear, or it can be a time of coziness, a time of privacy, and a time of intimacy. So both of those aspects coexist. And what he's trying to do with Ma'ariv, with the evening prayer, is to turn the dark qualities of Shekhinah into sweetness, to illumine the moon. Another example, another image, the sun shines on the moon. When the moon takes on all of the light that comes from the sun, it's a beautiful, shining, glorious full moon, right? Shekhinah receives light from the sun. She can't generate light on her own. Who is the sun? The sun is the giver of light, exemplified by Yaakov, right? Yaakov is that core being who takes the energies and pushes them forward and endows them into the moon, into Shekhinah, watering and blessing her from all directions. So therefore, what he does with his action is to act out the idea of stripping away, literally, stripping away din, some din, from Shekhinah's hard surface to enable her to be softer, to reveal the inner, softer meat and the white goodness that came, that's also part of her. Remember, that's in part of the stick. He doesn't paint the stick white. He reveals the white that's in the stick. And then he puts them into the rahatim, into the channels. The channels are the four aspects that come out of the well of Shekhinah, just like high above in the imagery of the Merkava. We have God enthroned on a four-legged stool. So too, the lower Merkava is all of the forces that come below Shekhinah to take Shekhinah's energy and go out on missions, otherwise known as, these are angels, right? Whoever it is that is taking the energy out into the world is an angel. So they bring it out into the world, and then everyone is able to benefit from the energy. Those severe judgments all stand there to be absorbed by each one fittingly, right? But the severe judgments are now swallowed up and absorbed within the more gentle kinds of waters. Yeah, Larry.
Two things. One thing is, I just noticed we just had one of the Sfirot mentioned directly in the Zohar, the supernal Gevura De'ela. That's unusual.
Right. Right.
And then the other thing is, more generally, it seems like the whole idea is not that there isn't Gevura or that there isn't Din, but that the goal is to have it encompassed within Chesed, or let's say, enveloped or absorbed? I don't, I mean.
Yeah, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it actually in the next page or two. Embraced and enveloped, right? Yes, subsumed, right? The gvura is no less an aspect of God than chesed, but the left-hand side has to take second place to the right-hand side. But it won't do that without help from us to strengthen the right-hand side to be able to do what it must do. That's what Jacob is doing. What Jacob is doing is adding that extra piece of energy, putting his thumb on the scale to tilt the scale more toward chesed. Otherwise, Gvura will run rampant. If we, back to the original lament of Rabbi Elazar, if we are apathetic or if we are negative to what we're given in the Torah, then we will be empowering the left as opposed to making the union happen the way it should. Yeah, good. Yes, and you're right about the first comment. It's not a usual thing. Not the Sfirot are in general alluded to, but not named per se. Yeah. Okay. Beryl, back to you. Where
the flock came to drink, facing the flock, facing one another.
Okay, so read what does that mean?
Where the flock.
751.
Where the flock facing the flock, facing one another. In the verse, facing the flock refers to the rods facing the flock. Rabbi Elazar, responding to the repetition of the word flock, imagines various flocks of angels facing one another.
Right. So this is the image that we have in the beginning of the Shachrit after Baruch Hu, where we have this beautiful, awesome description of the heavenly choir. Right? And all the angels sing God's praises, but they sing God's praises in collaboration with each other, right? They help each other out, right? Right? They each one gives to the other, each one takes from the other, each one asks of the other, in a real sophisticated kind of image of what real choral singing is all about. We actually need to be attuned to how strongly the other part is going, and how do you respond, and then if the piece is written, as a call and response, there's a whole collaborative picture that is given in our prayers about the angels all working together. So here, that's what Rabbi Elazar says as well. Okay, now they were in heat.
Now they were in heat. What does this mean? When they are crowned with judgment, they heat up and roam through the world, scrutinizing the ways of human beings, whether for good or for evil.
They're aroused. They're aroused, but they are angels from the left who will go out there and they will take advantage of any opening that they have to administer judgment and execute judgment, literally. Right? This is they're going out there, and they're excited because they're unleashed. Right? Come and see.
Come and see what is written next. They came to be in heat by the rods. Because of those rods, they heated up, supervising judgments in the world, becoming appointed over the process by which human beings are judged. As is said, this sentence by decree of the watchers, this verdict by order of the holy ones,
Okay, so they are given the power to go out and administer judgment. But what Jacob does is he can't prevent that. He can't prevent that from happening, but he can soften it, right? He's turned the rods into a different kind of item so that the rods themselves are not just dark, but also they have the stripes of light as well. So he's weakening the forces of judgment, which will go out there anyway. But whether they know it or not, they are already suffused with some chesed as well. Sometimes we hear all kinds of stories, right, about somebody whose job it is to be a very strict enforcer of the rules, and then they meet some particular situation, and somehow unexpectedly they bend. Somehow unexpectedly they let the person have a second chance. That's the judgment with the bark stripped off, right? Where there's a softening that happens as a result. So this is Jacob's endeavor. This is his project. Okay.
Rabbi Hia opened. My soul cleaves to you. Your right hand supports me. One should contemplate this verse. My soul cleaves to you. For King David constantly conjoined his soul to the Blessed Holy One, unconcerned with other worldly matters, only with joining his soul and aspiration to him. Since he cleaved to him, he supported him, never abandoning him. From here we learn that when a person comes to cleave to the Blessed Holy One, he grasps him, never abandoning him.
Okay, so another way of picturing the relationship, right, between the two lovers. David, in this mythic way of looking at him, right, far cry from the way we understand the stories that are told, in the Torah, in the Bible, in Tanakh. Here he is the ultimate mystic, the ultimate lover of God, and this comes directly out of this particular aspect of King David as the psalmist, right? Something that you wouldn't put together with all of the military and other aspects, the intrigues and the adventurism and the manipulations. He's a poet, and he's a mystical poet. What he says here, the first half of the verse, my soul cleaves to you, right? That's dveikut, right? To try to stick close to you. Your right hand supports me. So what the Zohar says is this is the result of the cleaving, right? I will never leave you. And therefore, because I, King David, I, human being, refuse to abandon you, God, you will never abandon me, right? I'm sure that you will never abandon me. We say in the Siyum, when we finish studying a Masechet, we say, we will never abandon you, Masechet so-and-so, tractate Shabbat, or tractate Ta'anit, or whatever. And you will never abandon us, right? What does that mean? The tractate will never abandon us. The tractate is an instantiation of Torah. Torah is God's communication, God's seeking us out, God trying to connect with us. If we will not abandon you, you will not abandon us. So that's on the one level. On another level, King David is Shekhinah. King David is the one biblical figure who is added to the three patriarchs, right? So we have Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then David is considered Shekhinah, because what is another name for Shekhinah that would apply to King David? Malchut, kingship, sovereignty. She is the queen of the world. Well, where does royalty start from in our Jewish history? From David. So David becomes Shekhinah. So then Shekhinah is saying, I will never leave you, my beloved lover, divine lover. And therefore the divine lover never leaves Shekhinah. Okay, alternatively.
Alternatively, my soul cleaves to you, so that his rung would be crowned above. For when that rung clings to supernal rungs, ascending with them, the right hand grasps it, raising it, uniting it in single unification. Fittingly, as is said, your right hand will grasp me, and similarly, his right hand embracing me. So your right hand supports me. Once this is grasped by the Holy Blessed One, it is written, his left hand beneath my head, his right hand embracing me. Single unification, single bond, whereupon that rung of his is filled and blessed. When it is filled, all those channels are filled in 4 directions of the world. All these flocks are watered, each in its own direction.
Okay, so here we have what we was talking about just a minute or two ago, what Larry was bringing out also, and that is the relationship between the right side and the left, the right arm and the left arm. The embrace, the full embrace is smolo tachat roshi, v'yamino techapkeni, right? First, there's a reaching out from the left underneath my head, drawing me close, and then the right hand does the all-embracing hug. And that's the supremacy of the right. And that's the unity of above and below, of the male and the female, but also the unity of the left with the right. But the left needs to be covered over by the right? Because otherwise destruction is possible. We don't want a world of just fear and judgment. We want a world of love. So the judgmental part of the system has to be overridden, has to be controlled by the chesed. If we're looking at today's politics, the situation that's on the rise among the judges is the opposite. They're super excited about applying the left-hand side of the equation, and it's as if they don't even have a right-hand side. It's very sad. It's just a real life example of what's missing, and what the Zohar here is saying needs to happen if we are really thinking about one God. The one God is one God with the right hand side being the preeminent one, the unifying one. All right. Any other comments? Okay, so we're going to actually stay right at this point, and we'll continue next time, God willing. And Zag is into everyone. Stop the recording.